What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and we got a special one today. We are a few days out from the NFL draft. So I figured let's do one final Superflex rookie mock draft, tight end premium. We got Jordan Reed's 7-round mock draft. A lot to talk about. And today, it's a long time coming. We bring on Ray GQ. Last week we had JJ Zacharyson, so we were talking, my model says this, my model says that. I wanted to bring Ray GQ on. You can find him Destination Devi, Ray Garvin on YouTube, to give you to sort of center me back in what he's seeing on the field, much more of a film-based analyst here. So how are you doing today, Ray?
Man, I'm so excited to chop it up with you, Ron. I've been a fan of your work for a long time. I feel like I've been in the basement, man. I feel like I've been in the basement with you. But going into this 25 draft, man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to do this show. A great mock came out today, 7 rounds with some very interesting landing spots. And most importantly, man, we're trying to help the people out. We're trying to help the people out and just talk ball, talk dynasty, and figure out what we're going to do, because whatever we say today is guaranteed probably going to change a little bit here in the next couple of days. So let's have some fun with this one and really talk through what we're hearing, seeing, man. I'm excited, bro.
Me too. And I will say, I'll butter up my guest here. You say you're a fan. I remember back when Destination Devi, you had like a like airplane noise, or it would be like ding ding, like the audio podcast. Like those are old days. Destination Devi. I remember when you used to be on bunk bed breakdowns with Mike Me Up. You do those. Called Elijah Mitchell back in his draft class. So I've been following Ray G for a minute now. But
Salute.
I'm excited to get into what we have here. And I will be honest, usually I would say guest first, whatever. But last one I went at 2. I don't want to pick all the same players. So I'm going to go number 1 here. I'll be quick. Ashton Jeanty. He goes to the Raiders here. Of course, they have Chip Kelly. That's the exciting selling point. There's nothing else in that backfield. You got Geno Smith now, which is like kind of fun, kind of interesting for what this offense could be. But he is the 101, 6 overall draft capital. The next Bijan, next Saquon. I don't want to take too long with one of the shoe-in guys. Let me know if you have anything to add, or if you want to just get into 102.
No, I'll just ask you, because we've got the landing spot on the mock. Does the Raiders offense concern you at all? Just does it concern you at all, or not really?
I would say not really. These situations, they change so much. And I think with like Jeanty, I don't even know that, of course we don't need him to just be completely awful out the gates,
Right.
But I feel like the bar's pretty low for him to gain value. And then also I am kind of excited to see what Chip Kelly looks like in the NFL again, and, see that offense. I imagine if they take him that high, they have a vision for it.
Yeah.
And got the phone going off here in the back, but I am of course, a big fan of Jeanty. I want to see what Chip Kelly does. I'm trying to think, Chip Kelly, back in the day had like LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, shady.
So yeah, I think that we got some good cooking for Jeanty over there.
Agreed. Just wanted to throw something out there, but I'm with you. There's not a lot else to add on Ashton Jeanty 101.
Yeah. So who do you got at 102? And I did want to say at the top, like I'll preview some landing spots here. Like I was going to look back at like if this is the most running backs taken on day 2, but we have a billion. It seems like you have Henderson going to Chicago. You have Judkins going to Dallas. You have Caleb Johnson to San Fran, Dylan Sampson, Devin Neal. It seems like he sneaked these all in the back end. You got Giddens, Harvey, Martinez, like just barely getting in round 3. But if that happens on draft day, I'd be stoked.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen, Ron, with the depth of this class. I think Friday night could be electric, and then even the start of Saturday, it could be outstanding for landing spots with some of these running backs. But here at the 102 Superflex, I kind of don't think this is a lot for me to decide upon. For me, it's going to be Cam Ward. Maybe we'll talk about some running backs in this NFL draft from Jordan Reed. Ward went number 1 overall to Tennessee. I'm really trying to I'm trying to think outside the box here, Ron. Like, is he really this good of a quarterback prospect? I've seen more Patrick Mahomes comps for Cam Ward over the last couple of weeks than I've seen any other quarterback get comped to Mahomes. If he's that good and I'm able to get him in a Dynasty Superflex rookie draft at the 102, I'm pretty damn happy about getting Cam Ward here and what Brian Callahan and this offense can build around him. I love some of the other running back landing spots, but I'm taking Cam Ward 102.
Yeah, and I love that. I know we talked about Cam Ward over on the ship chasing mock where You know, Cam Ward, is he like the sexiest quarterback of all time? No, but he's going first overall, and a lot of these like draft guys have him as like the first overall guy. I haven't checked Daniel Jeremiah's big board. He's like top 3, you know. So if that's the consensus, I know you said Mahomes. I'd push back on anyone saying Mahomes. Like maybe from an arm talent perspective, I know a lot of people rave about what Ward can do from a arm talent, arm angles, everything. But what I will say is a lot of I've learned to kind of push back against the nerds recently, and I don't really care that he didn't produce as like that he wasn't like lighting the world on fire at Incarnate Word, but at the same time he was, or else he wouldn't have had the opportunity to transfer, to bigger and better things. And we've seen with these guys, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, you can go all the way back to Cam Newton. It's not even really that much of a new trend, but just give me one peak where it's like you're in the Heisman running, and that's all I really need.
He's good. He's the 101. And I think the insulation that you get with a player like Cam Ward, and the beautiful thing about this mock and what we're about to do is if you are picking at 102, I guarantee you, without knowing what Ron's going to do for the rest of this mock, hell, what I'm going to do, we'll be all right at running back in the 2nd and 3rd round.
Oh, especially with how many got drafted here. And I'll take the first running back off the board at 103. We will go Omarion Hampton. Just nice and easy. 20th overall, RB2 off the board. I'm very excited to see Sean Payton with a good running back again. We haven't seen this since, Alvin Kamara days, and he'll have that all to himself. Bo Nix is commanding this offense. And, you can rant and rave about Omarion Hampton all day. He looks like the next, Breece Hall, somebody in that echelon of running back prospects. And I think just with how we've seen with Saquon and everything, now these guys are getting drafted in the 1st round. So give me Hampton.
Yeah, good pick. Good pick. Omarion Hampton's dope. Top running back in the class for me. Great landing spot. Capital is there. I don't think there's a lot else to say. He's a good running back, man.
You got at 4. Yeah.
Yeah, at the next spot at 4, I'm going to stick with the running back position, man. In this mock, Jordan Reed had Ohio State superstar running back Travion Henderson going to the Bears at 39. Love it. Ben Johnson, we've heard it, at nauseum, right? The Jahmyr Gibbs of this offense. I'm not comparing him to Gibbs. I'm not doing any of that, but his skill set, what he brings to the table in Chicago, new offensive coordinator. It's the 2nd pick that he's made as running this regime. I would trust the talent and the skill set in Chicago with Travion Henderson.
Yeah, it seems like he fits right into that, sort of, I don't know. Gibbs is, of course, a massive, massive thing to comp him to, but that style of runner where, he's not going to get 300-plus touches, but he's going to be really efficient on this new offense. And I'll be honest, I'll peel back the curtain here. We're shooting from the hip. This is we don't got set rankings. We don't know that these landing spots happen. So if I could have gone back, I would have taken Travis Hunter at 103. I've been on a warpath for Travis Hunter. We'll take him at the 105 here. And I'm just obsessed with Travis Hunter at this point. He is. So I tweeted out today earlier before I hopped on here. I was listening to Part of My Take. If anyone wants to clown me for listening to Barstool, go ahead. It's the biggest sports podcast in the world, man. Sue me. Daniel Jeremiah hops on. He says Cleveland's going to take Travis Hunter, which is minus 400 at this point. Says he's going to major in offense, minor in defense, and says that Hunter himself would say that he's a wide receiver 1st, corner 2nd. And to me, man, I heard that and my ears perked up. He's just Matt Harmon's out here comparing him to Odell Beckham Jr. And you look across the board, his reception perception is nuts. And then on top of that, he's not even the most polished wide receiver of all time. He's getting signals from the sideline. And, he has a 25% plus missed tackles forced rate where he's amazing after the catch. He creates separation. You can see that from Matt Harmon. And then on top of that, contested catch 60% plus. So before, at, and after the catch point, he's amazing. So give me that on Cleveland. You're hoping, do they get a quarterback here? Jalen Milroe? Okay. I could deal with it.
Yeah. Ron, I'll say this, man. I know you said if you go back to 103, you would have taken Hunter. I think right here at 105, he'll be there, right? If you somehow were man, fingers crossed, I love it, man. And I have been on record for a couple of years now saying, I believe that he is a better wide receiver than he is defensive back. I've said that from the beginning of the season. I've maintained this whole process. He is a better wide receiver prospect in corner. Andrew Berry, they're going to take him. They've already come out to say he's going to start out on, he's going to play receiver. I listened to Andrew Berry's press conference. They view him as a wide receiver 1st. We talk about quarterback insulation and value. I truly wonder, Ron, how much insulation and value you get with Travis Hunter, even if rookie year isn't Odell Beckham, right? But he's a primary offensive receiver, shows flashes. I wonder what the appetite for him would be going into year 2 when Cleveland drafts a new quarterback or trades for a guy or Milroe develops. This is a pick right here where the ROI on the 5th overall pick in a rookie draft could be outstanding. Good pick, dude. Good pick.
And like on top of that too, like you're saying, is like he probably won't have the routes to ever do 20 plus point per game Odell Beckham Jr. But if he gives you like 2.7 yards per out run, and we start seeing those tweets where it's like OBJ, Jefferson, Neighbors, Hunter, 2.5 plus yards per out run, and then we get these reports he's going to be a 90% route guy heading into year 2. All of a sudden, it's like he's looking at like a 1-2 turn pick, and you didn't even really need to thread the needle of 1,400 receiving yards in year 1.
Can I overreact and ask you a question right now? Travis Hunter is announced as a wide receiver to the Cleveland Browns 2nd overall. Who's worth more in Dynasty, Travis Hunter or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Travis Hunter. It has to be. It has to be. I like Marvin Harrison Jr., but I mean, we already saw. I've been making this comparison. You play poker. We saw his 3 cards. We saw the flop, and it wasn't good. Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray's a great fantasy quarterback. He's okay in real life, but in terms of like feeding an X, that's tough. And Travis Hunter, I just think it's easier to get him the ball. It's easier to get those Malik Neighbors type touches. I just got to bet on that. We've seen Marv was the prince who was promised, but we got a year and it didn't look like it.
That tells you everything you need to know. I mean, that's a hell of a pick at 105 then, man.
Now I will say as well, this is my bad. I didn't include him in the picks for the mock because, he's listed as a DB. I of course did the Command F wide receiver. So that's my bad. Who do you got at 106?
Yeah, 106, you kind of screwed me because I was prepared to take Travis Hunter. This one, I'm playing the ADV, something I've coined as artificial dynasty value. What are people going to believe is the best spot, regardless if the outcome is that? Dallas takes Quinshon Judkins at 44 in the 2nd round. I just think he's going to be a very desirable asset. So right here at 106, I'm taking Dallas's new RB1, Quinshon Judkins. He's got to get through Miles Sanders. He's got to beat out Javonte Williams to get there. I just think people have wanted a true running back in Dallas since Zeke, and they replaced an Ohio State guy with another Ohio State guy. Come on down, Quinshon.
You're not concerned about the yards after contact per attempt or the breakaway run rate? It seems like everybody is, I know those are numbers that you love to, stare at.
I'm not concerned. I'll just leave it at that. It's too early in the show for me to be nasty. I hear it, right? I understand it, but ultimately it is I'm going to use easy in a very armchair scout sort of way. The easiest position to like transition to it's running back. They literally get guys off the street and they come in and have a 100-yard game. I'm not worried about Quinshon in Dallas. If they pick him 44 overall, he's going. Here's the thing: he'll get the volume. He's going to get the volume, and I'll follow that.
And look, it's your pick, but I've been banging the drum for Judkins all offseason, and I'm the nerd here, and I don't really care about the break. Like it matters, and if you want to put him behind Trevion for that, sure. If you want to put him behind Omarion Hampton for that, sure. But at the end of the day, we've seen with efficiency metrics, like it can be weird. Whereas like Saquon on the Giants was like okay. And then he gets to the Eagles and he's amazing. So you get him on the Cowboys where, it's going to be a good offense. It's going to be fine. He should be good. And then we're just talking about a big, fast running back where if you just looked at their combines, he looks like Omarion Hampton. He's getting capital. And if he was so bad, you're in these Devy streets. If he's so bad, how is he getting 1,600 rushing yards next to Zach Evans as a freshman, 3-star recruit, man? You got to be pretty good.
Come on, man.
Got to be pretty good.
Yep.
So at 107, let's see. 107, we still got Tet McMillan at 12 on the board. We got Shedeur at 9. Golden 18 to the Seahawks is weird. I'm not touching that anytime soon. Let's see. I'll go Tet. This is probably a range where he's got to go. Speaking of Dallas, I know you're a Dallas fan. This is a fantasy draft for them. They take Tet in round 1. They take Judkins in round 2. They're building around Dak.
Yep.
We'll see what everything else looks like, but I'm a fan, right? Where after Lamb, you're talking about like Kavonte Turpin and Jalen Tolbert. There's going to be plenty of routes available. And Ted, at a certain point, it's tough because, Arizona, the last 2 years with like those bottom feeders in the Pac-12, man, like you're looking in terms of like strength of schedule or strength of team of like a group of 5 team. So that Arizona team this past year was bad, but he
Yes.
still did produce. He looked great. I'm not calling Ted McMillan Sky Moore or anything, but it's like, he didn't do 1300s at Alabama back to back is what I'm saying here. But Ted is still good. He can move all over the place. And 107 is probably where I'll take him.
All right, good pick. I've got nothing against this. I think he settles in. I've maintained all offseason. I believe he's a really good number 2 wide receiver. And he'd be deployed as such, but that's fine. I mean, T. Higgins is a number 2. Devontae Smith is a number 2. Those are good usable fantasy assets paired with a quarterback that's capable of 5,000 yards on the season. Yeah, he'd get targets and opportunity. I like the pick, man.
Yep, and I don't want to dig too much with the Cowboys. The defense is looking a little shaky too, right? You lose DeMarcus Lawrence.
I thought don't do this, man. Ron, come on, man. Don't do this. Ron.
We want shootouts.
Yes, the defense is a work in progress. Correct.
Yep. But who do you got at 108?
All right. At 108, there are running backs that I like. And this is tight end premium, 1.5 tight end premium. We had some highly drafted tight ends, but I think now I'm gonna hold it up. It's time. It's Shedeur time for me at 108. I'm going Shedeur Sanders, who was drafted 9th overall by the New Orleans Saints, who have a brand new head coach in Kellen Moore. And what that ownership group said is you go get your quarterback of the future. There are rumors about Derek Carr and whether he's there. He's not playing the whole season. Spencer Rattler, loved getting a chance to talk to the kid in Mobile a couple of years ago. Think he's a good backup quarterback in the NFL, but it would be a matter of time, literally, before Shedeur Sanders was the starting quarterback in New Orleans. They need a full rebuild, right? They need a rebuild, but you got a new head coach bringing in this guy, the value, the insulation, the QB position. I'm fine with Shedeur here at 108.
Yeah, this is the right pick. Like, I'm not even the biggest Shedeur fan, but like, he goes top 10, top 12, and this is probably too low for him. Like, I'll be honest, like just in terms of what we've seen, whether that's Penix, Bo Nix, like you don't even need him to play amazing. You just need him to come in and show something. And there's going to be a lot of excuses for the Saints too, where it's like, oh man, like that, that team wasn't great.
Yep.
They're struggling over there, but Shedeur gets the draft capital. Wow. All right. So this is where it gets tough. And I think for me, I have one more receiver I like, and this is honestly, like, I'm looking at it now, especially someone like me who's a bit of a draft capital snob. This is me definitely, disrespecting the NFL a little bit. I'm going to go Emeka Egbuka. I'm a very big fan of Emeka Egbuka. I've learned not to overthink it with the Ohio State wide receivers. I don't really, in the past, I've been like, oh, well, he's not an early declare. It's like, man, he played with Garrett Wilson, Olave, Marv, JSN, Jeremiah Smith, who's going to be, amazing. And his true sophomore season was really good. And I think something that people are overlooking with Egbuka, and something that you're obviously aware of, is that he was a monster recruit, 5-star, number 1 guy in his class. And then he tests like it with a 9.7 RAS. So this is not like a boring slot receiver. This is, Chris Godwin juice upside. So I'm a big fan of that. And he lands on Jacksonville, who without Evan Ingram now, without Christian Kirk, he can move into the slot nice and easy next to Brian Thomas with, the new coach, Trevor Lawrence sort of redemption here. So I actually kind of love this landing spot.
I think it's a sneaky great spot. And I know you said you're kind of going against draft capital, but scheme still matters. And Matthew Golden in Seattle just doesn't do it for me. Not with Cooper Kupp and JSN there. It feels like a great NFL fit, and I can see why the Seahawks did that, if they do that, because they don't have that guy currently on the roster. Well, I mean, they got NVS, but you get the point. I think this is an appropriate spot. I think playing next to BTJ would allow him to see single coverage if he's going to play inside at the slot. I trust Egbuka with Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen. So good pick here, even though, and he's picked 36th overall. I know it's not round 1 capital, but this is Michael Pittman, T. Higgins range. He's good to go here. I like this.
Yeah. And I've it's an arbitrary cutoff. Who do you got at 10?
I did not think I was going to do this, but I'm going to double tap quarterback with my last 2 with Shedeur going at 8. Right here, I'm going to load up on some Jackson Dart to Pittsburgh. I really believe that Aaron Rodgers might do the unthinkable and screw the hell out of Pittsburgh. I mean, I could see it happening. And if they do take Jackson Dart, 21st overall. Again, just like Sanders, it would be a matter of time, not if, but it would be a matter of time before he gets in. And I'll just say this. I think we all need to ego check ourselves with the arrogance that we know which quarterbacks are going to be good or bad, because the QB that people crapped on more than anybody throughout the process last year in Bo Nix, you look up right now and he is highly valued. And I know a lot of people are still, I need to see it again. But it was very obvious that he was the second best quarterback that played last year behind Jaden Daniels. So I don't know how these guys are going to transition, what their NFL future holds. But if the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have no quarterback on that roster, that just gave DK Metcalf a massive contract, that just paid Pat Freiermuth, that has George Pickens, I don't think this is a bad spot for a QB to land in. And people like Jackson Dart, he's functional enough with his legs. I'm good with him at the 110.
Yeah, I like that call too. Like you said, really good spot where you have Metcalf and Pickens. And even we saw with Kenny Pickett, like he held some value into year 2 and he showed us nothing, man. So like I'm completely fine with Dart where you took him. I will, and this is funny, I haven't had him tight, like I've had Warren tight end 1 this entire time, but if the landing spots go like this, I'm going to take Loveland here.
Good call.
He goes to the Chargers. He gets attached to Herbert. He gets attached to his old coach, Jim Harbaugh. And I mean, like, this is probably the one scenario. I probably still prefer Warren, but if Warren goes to the Colts here, I mean, it's not like he's off my board, but at that point, I'm fine with Loveland at tight end 1. Draft capital is probably like the shakiest when it comes to tight end 2, where it's like, man, like, we talked about it on ship chasing, but it's like, we've been burned, man. Like, I remember holding candles out for Noah Fant, OJ Howard, hoping that they come back, man, hoping. So I'll take it here, man. We have, Harbaugh, Herbert, and Loveland's definitely profiles as more of the receiving tight, like pure receiving tight end, but you do get some shades of Dalton Kincaid there that do scare you. But I think at 111 in tight end premium, that's good for me.
I know some people who do not like the Colts landing spot at all for any type of pass catcher. The reality is they're probably taking somebody, whether it's Tyler Warren or Mason Taylor later on. You taking Colston Loveland landing in LA, I don't think anybody would scoff at that at all. That would be a great landing spot. And I didn't think you would go there, but good pick, Ron. I like that. Damn.
Yeah, Loveland's going to be fun. We'll see how that, tight ends are getting weird right now where it seems like the do-it-all guys are kind of more in vogue, but some people are saying that Loveland's like as good of a blocker as Warren. So we'll see where that goes. And, at Michigan, you definitely had to block. Who do you got at 12?
Oh, man. This is, these early seconds, dude. I want to trade you this pick. I'm being true to the board. I'm thinking Dynasty. I'm thinking the swing here at 112, right? Am I drafting this like I won the chip, Ron? Am I drafting this like I won the chip, or am I just picking? How do you want me to,
You can draft like you won the chip. Okay. You earn the 12 spot.
I earned this 12 spot, man. I probably got a solid squad. I'm thinking I probably don't need immediate right now. I got a solid squad, and what could bank me value in the long term? I'm going to go out a little wild here, and I'm diving into round 3, okay? I'm diving into round 3, and I'm taking a running back that was selected by a team that I have not seen this running back or team paired up at all, but I want Caleb Johnson in San Francisco. Give me Caleb Johnson in San Francisco here at the 112 spot. He's still a top 3 running back in this class for me personally. He lands on an offense that they run a zone scheme, just like the things that people say he was very successful at Iowa in doing. I don't believe that the outcomes for Christian McCaffrey are either he is what he's always been or he's dust. I don't believe that. A lot of people talk about it like it's one of two. He's either great or he stinks. But I do think there's a world where they probably need to take some of those between the 20s carries off of CMC. And what happens, Ron, in the event that CMC's Achilles tendonitis or ankle or whatever flares up and Caleb Johnson is the lead back for San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan's guy, I think it would be people would do silly things for him. I think he's better than Isaac Guerrero. So if Caleb Johnson is drafted on night 2 by San Francisco here at the 112 spot, I've earned it. I'll take a freaking swing on Caleb Johnson in San Francisco.
I don't hate it, man. Like anything happens to McCaffrey and all of a sudden you got the guy. I will ask, like, what because I do want to pick your brain on kind of like Caleb Johnson's film. Like what sticks out? It seems like his last year, he was a monster for Iowa. And I will say something that pops up for the numbers that's a little scary is that his chunk, like he was almost Saquonish in a way where his chunk rate was lower, right? Like 10+ yard rate, but then breakaway was longer. And that's a little scary for a 4.57 guy. But how do you kind of contextualize that in the Iowa offense?
Yeah, I think he is a zone running back. You want him in that type of scheme. And I think that's, for me, if he's going to be drafted in a scheme that fits his running style, whatever negative that you're thinking, like you got to kind of remove that. It's fit the style, and to be that big and have that breakaway run rate where he's able to create explosives through the running game. Again, something that I know Josh Norris and I talked about it a lot on Underdog, but most offenses create explosives through the air. Philly found a way to do that on the ground. Detroit found a way to do that on the ground. So if he can do that in that system, which San Francisco, regardless of who's been at running back since Kyle Shanahan took over, and his first move was Jerick McKinnon, giving him a big deal, they've been able to generate explosives on the ground. I just think the fit in the player's skill set works well. If you told me Caleb Johnson's going to go to Buffalo, if Caleb Johnson lands and he's got to create on his own, I would be a little more concerned. But in a predominantly zone blocking scheme that relies heavily on play action to get Kittle and them involved, he would be fine in San Francisco.
Yeah, and that's something to definitely note with his profile is, like, I think like 80% of his carries this last year were zone scheme. So definitely, I'll kind of refer to you guys and tell me if his landing spot is zone heavy. But and I will say, shout out Jordan Reed for this mock. I know he was at Draft Network before ESPN. Shout out to him. Let me get. All right, now before we get into round 2 of this Dynasty rookie mock, I wanted to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by Underdog. When you sign up with promo code RON, they will match your first deposit up to $1,000, and you will get a free pick higher than 0.5 points for Steph Curry. They have a bunch of crazy promos going on with the NBA playoffs happening right now. And then on top of that, you have pre-draft best ball. I am maxing out the big board. Maybe we'll draft one on stream here soon, but if you want to get in on the fun, they have entry fees of all shapes and sizes here, and then you will have Best Ball Mania, I believe, starting next week. So best ball season is fully here. Make sure you check out Underdog. I'll have links in the description and the comment section down below. But let's get back into the video. Man, this is where it gets tough. I'm going to take Tyler Warren, but I'm just like, it sucks because he's such a fun player. Like the USC game. And I will say something too. Like I kind of put on as a joke. I watch zero film. I watch a good amount of college football, the USC.
Yes, you
Penn
do.
State
I see
game.
you tweeting. You watch.
I watch. And I saw your cut up. I was looking through for the Judkins thing. You had a cut up of like every explosive run. I was like, Judkins looks pretty good here. I know that that's only his good stuff. Of course, there's some vision concerns, whatever. But yeah, like Warren, I mean, what he like, and whoever's the OC at Penn State, I don't know that he needs an NFL job because sometimes he's doing like way too much. But like having Warren snap the ball and then also run a route and catch the pass in the end zone, like they're doing silly stuff the entire time, which is really fun. So I don't know. I don't think that he's going to, give you passing touchdown production in the NFL or whatever, but he's a monster. And at some point, like, I don't know. I was about to say that I believe in Steichen, but he might get fired. I was going to say, long-term with Steichen, the quarterback's not going to be there, but maybe year 2, year 3 for Warren. We'll see what happens at quarterback. But I don't know if Steichen's leash is that long, but I'll believe in the tight end.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I know it's hard to remember how we felt in the moment, but there were a significant group of people that absolutely hated Brock Bowers' landing spot draft night. Hated it. But I don't even want him, people said. No, he's not going to catch passes. QB stink, and I'm not comparing Tyler Warren to Brock Bowers, but I'm going to trust the talent of most people's tight end one. I'm with you. I didn't want to do it in round 1. I wanted you to do it and save me from having to do it, but I'm with you. There's not a lot to say besides he's a good player and he was picked 14th overall. Like, what are we doing? Yeah,
exactly. At that point, you just have to kind of hold your nose and take the player. But who do you got at 202?
Dude, why am I doing this? Why am I in this position to have to continue to do this? And this is a player I'm just going to say I don't like at all. I am not a big fan of this player personally. I graded him very low, but in this mock and for this exercise, this was the first pick on day 2 of the NFL draft. by a team that just drafted Travis Hunter, has Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku. Cleveland Browns, they take Jalen Milroe. Sign me up in Superflex right here at the 202 spot. If you're telling me I'm getting damn near a first-round Jalen Milroe right here, I don't need him to be great. All I need, because I've done this long enough, the moment he's named the starting quarterback, your stock goes up. Now, whether you want to see it through for the outcome and the extra bonus you can get on top, that's your call, right? But I can tell you unequivocally, when he's named the starter, or God, can't you just see it now, Ron? Preseason, he's out there because Flacco ain't doing nothing in the pre. They're probably going to play Milroe and Pickett every preseason game. He rips off a 60-yard touchdown run, right? Throws a ball to Travis Hunter. We might look back and be like, how the hell did I get Milroe at the 208? The 207 spot. I'll take him here at 202.
That's tough to hear because I like Jalen Milroe. He really flashes in terms of like the rushing that we really want. Yep. And that's like what you're saying here. Like it's tough because if you're an NFL GM, it's one thing, but another, like he had 20 rushing touchdowns this past season, man, like 20. And I'll be honest, like I caught the tail end of the Oklahoma game. My God, like that's not great. But then like you watch him versus Georgia and you're like, is this guy about to win Heisman? You know what I mean? Like that the Georgia first half was like, oh my God, he's out there against, the Michael Williams, the Malachi Starks of the world, or no. Yeah. Like Jalen Walker, they got all and got an underclassman that I can't even name, and he's out running them into the end zone. So I mean, like, you're paying him to throw the football, but for what we want in fantasy, is pretty amazing. So, like you said, like even if you don't like him, if he starts a couple games, he gives you like 18 points per game there. All of a sudden, your second's like a mid-first value.
And Ron, can I be fair to the process too? He's a much better prospect than Anthony Richardson. And I stood on top of the hill, and he is. Just the data and the numbers, completion percentage significantly better. Starts as far as how many reps he got in college, more than A-Rich. And I'll just say, it seems like he's a harder worker. I remember listening to Anthony Richardson on a pod going into this season, and he was talking about how easy the NFL was, how easy it was and how little he had to do. And then he went out there and got benched early on. So I think this kid is a much harder worker, more committed to the process. I don't think you play and succeed at Alabama if you're not. I'm fine with it right here. And I would ask you, is it too low for if he's the 33rd overall pick? Can you justify taking him even higher?
Yeah, this is where I'll be honest. If this is how the draft goes, I think I put him ahead of Dart and ahead of Caleb.
Okay.
I mean, you ended up with all three here, so I passed on him too. But man, like
the
way he runs, and I'll be honest, you're not gonna love this, but
say it, man.
At the numbers, we got ESPN QBR, which is just kind of like passer efficiency per play. 2 seasons of 80+ QBR with a peak season of 30% or better rushing yard market share outside of the first round. Jalen Hurts, Colin Kaepernick, and then it would be Jalen Milroe. So, and I think Jalen Hurts is like, once every 5 years, generational opportunity in rookie drafts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where you took him in the second round, like, man, you're eating good. But like, I think I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah again on the part of my take, and he was talking about like Jalen Hurts early on Philadelphia at like training camp. It was like, what did we might have just made a big mistake, like he looked that bad. And then all it took really, because you remember there were conversations probably his first year and a half of starting where it's like, is he the future? Is he the answer?
100%.
So it was always shaky, but we've seen with guys like Fields, Lance, where even if that's the question, Richardson last offseason, you're still a 1-2 turn pick in that scenario. And all Jalen Hurts had to do was, I still remember that Saints game, his like rookie year where he pops off, that's all you need. You need one of those from Milroe where he rushes for 100 yards. And all of a sudden, heading into 2026, he's, a second round startup pick.
People need to remember this one with him. And if we're playing a proxy of a game, Ron, we're not even playing a game, right? We're playing a proxy for a game. If he's drafted this high to Cleveland, listen, I'm with you, man. I could see it. First round, late first rounder.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I love that. He's been someone I've been, banging the drum for all season. I will say someone that, I don't know. I keep on like reluctantly taking him. He's good. I think, an older me would have liked him more, Luther Burden, or a younger me. He's interesting, man. Where year two's amazing. Year three, not so much. And now all of a sudden, you're looking at guys that had like monster year twos, and you're looking at, like Juju is of course like the big one. But then his usage, you start getting some flashbacks to LaVisca Chenault, and I see some flashbacks to, Treylon Burks. But like he's, if he hits as like DJ Moore, or on like the really high end of things, you're talking, like a light Malik Neighbors. So he's really fun. He's another one of these guys, a 5-star recruit, like Devi name, of course, up top. So I'll buy the dip. And I guess on Tennessee, he'll have all the work he needs. I'm curious because I didn't catch many Missouri games. I'm trying to remember. Like they were just bad. Like they were bad.
Yeah, they were bad.
I guess the quarterback went down, but it's like they were so much better in 2023. Like the quarterback was still there.
I mean, and Ron, that's what happens in college football, man. These teams, they could show promise one year and literally just tank the bed the next season. Missouri was bad. Burden played in the slot. He was outproduced by Theo Weiss, another old Devy favorite. He is going to be, here's the good thing about Burden. People love him. Like people love him. And with Tennessee prioritizing him with Cam Ward, no Nick Westbrook-Akine, we know Treylon Burks is not very good. I think there's just opportunity here for him to produce and he's not going to lose value in Tennessee. Outside of him just busting, I don't think the value goes down for Burden. So that's a fine pick.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, I'm giving Callahan a lot of credit for what happened with Taylor in Cincinnati, but I'm hoping, when we started to see like Jamar Chase end arounds and, that kind of usage, and it's like we got really excited. We'll see. I think Callahan might be out of there by like week 6. We'll see. But where are you going with 204?
All right, man. I'm going to make a bet that the guy that I kind of want to take here, you won't take him at 2.5. So I'm just going to say at this point, he was the 18th overall pick. Cooper Kupp probably ain't going to stay healthy all year. So just give me Matthew Golden. He goes to Seattle in round 1. He's a round 1 receiver. I don't really like the landing spot for fantasy. I'm going to use the cliche. I would much rather have him in a best ball dynasty league than a league where I have to put him in my starting lineup, especially early. I don't know where he goes to start the season. You've got Kupp, you've got JSN, and I know the name isn't fantasy viable, but it is NFL scheme viable. They have Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who can do exactly what Golden does and has been doing it in the NFL for a long time. They drafted him top 20. I hate the landing spot, but I'll just trust Mike McDonald. I don't even want to mention the OC, but Matthew Golden here at 2.4. Okay.
And I think a big issue too is the OC, Kubiak, where it's a lot of heavy in like these, it's going to be a lot of 12. It's going to be a lot of like, multiple running backs, multiple tight ends. And like, Gold, you're gonna have to get Golden on the field over. I mean, if you want to say Kupp is washed and he needs to be in the slot, like maybe. But I did want to pick your brain on Matthew Golden because you'll see guys like, Steve Smith will come out here and say like he's wide receiver 1 overall. And I think on one hand that speaks to maybe the weakness of the class, but I'm just like, I do wonder how we get to these disconnects, right? We saw with Henry Ruggs too, where like everyone's like, dude, Judy's the man.
Right.
Like, and look, if anyone wants to go and say like, oh, no, it was not Jefferson. It was Judy and Lamb.
Not.
Judy and Lamb.
100%.
Like those were the guys.
100%.
But these NFL teams talk themselves into like, to me, there's a disc. Like I know we just said we're playing a proxy of a game, but it's like if he's not going to put up yards and touchdowns in my fantasy league, like what is he really contributing to your team that would be worth a first round pick? Like you just said, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. If you want some like fast guy to run deep and burn calories during the game, like why not sign an MBS or go deeper in the draft for, I don't know. Like I'm just spitting out a name like Dante Thornton or Ty Felton. Like I just don't get it.
I'll just tell you, and I'm not claiming to be any kind of damn Adam Schefter on here, right? But I do have friends and people that are in the NFL rooms, have played in the league and do some work. And what I've been told is for a lot of teams, there are a handful of premium players. And those premium players would be Universe, Abdul Carter, Ashton Genty. Every single board, those guys are blue chip prospects. But after that dissipates and you're kind of in the range of could start at 15, could start at 25, you're truly just drafting like team fit, like what fits this team in need. And we look at just because Golden is the first receiver drafted doesn't mean he's wide receiver 1 for fantasy. But that team and what that team has, he fits what they would want to do. He fits this system. He can be deployed this way. If we get 900 yards, great. Anything beyond that is icing on top of the cake. My thoughts on Matthew Golden are this. There are a lot of metrics that people point to that are not good. But here's the NFL is not drafting Matthew Golden for what he did as a sophomore, what he did as a freshman. They're drafting him based on what he did in his final season. If they were drafting on all the stuff you did prior to that, then Ollie Gordon would be RB1 in this class. And the context behind Texas, Quinn Ewers was tops in the country in yards at or behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, they didn't push the ball downfield. In that same vein, Shedeur Sanders was also top 3 in the country at passes at or behind the line of scrimmage, but he was also top 5 in the country in passes beyond 20 yards. Quinn Ewers didn't even sniff the top 20. They didn't have a lot of opportunity to throw the ball downfield. So when you've got a fluid player that runs fast, you're going to get noticed, man. And I think that's probably why we got here. I think Golden is a fine player. I don't like the landing spot a lot, Ron, but I am just banking on him being a top 20 pick.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I think my only pushback against like NFL front offices is like, why can't he just be a round 2 pick? Like, I guess what you're saying is...
Let me stop you though, Ron. It's not even pushback, dude. Here's the fallacy, Ron. A lot of people think that they are the smartest people on earth at football, right?
Yeah.
That is also not true. Just because they're in that role of decision maker, GM, it doesn't mean that they are one of the 32 brightest minds in the NFL, or they also make the right decision. So yeah, you are probably right. Why can't you just do that in round 2? But it's about business, baby. It's dollars and cents. It's big name Texas. It's stuff that people probably don't want to hear about on this stream. We could talk about another day.
Yeah. And I'll give, the last thing on the Golden argument is I was talking with JJ, and he mentioned as well, him being an early declare. I know I kind of downplayed it earlier, but like you said, like you're not drafting him off of what he did in years 1 and 2, and you're also kind of drafting him on like what maybe he could have done in year 4, right? He stays, he gets Arch Manning, and then all of a sudden you tell yourself a story where he was so good in those final 4 games. He's now like the established guy, and all of a sudden he's amazing. Yeah. But we're connecting a lot of dots there.
Yes.
At 205, this is where it gets tricky. I wish, when we're talking there, I wish I eyed some things up a little more than I did here. But I think, when we look at this class, and this is what I want to keep on hammering home, is after Golden's off the board, dude, like, I don't know. If someone wants to sell me on Jaden Higgins or Nolan, whatever, it's just like, I don't want to get caught up in like, even, I'm trying to look on this list, like, Jaden Higgins to Denver, 51st off the board. Like, I don't even want to get like caught up in all of that where I'm like, now, oh, he's going to get these targets connected to Bo Nix. Like, this class is historically good at running back. I did a tweet earlier where I looked at like prospect quality based on like, draft capital, my model. It's the best. Now, people say 2017. Of course, 2017 is amazing. People sleep on 08. That's where you had Darren McFadden, Chris Johnson, Matt Forte, Justin Forsett, I think there were like 5 running backs taken in the first round, but that's for another day.
Felix Jones and Tashard Choice were in that draft as well.
Yup. And like, it's a really fun draft class. Ray Rice as well, who, was good in his own right. And, people, you could get down to Steve Slayton and Peyton Hillis. So that's a really good class people sleep on. Yeah. And it, this class is up there with them. So I want to be taking running backs. And with that being said, we got a lot of round 3 ones to pick from. Man, I think if this is how it goes, and there's a guy I know who you think I'm not going to take, and I don't think I'm going to take him is really the issue. So I think, like, I'm looking at, I'll just be honest, I'm looking at Dylan Sampson to the Jaguars, which looks good. Devin Neal. I mean, all of these guys. RJ Harvey on the Chiefs. I'm looking at DJ Giddens, and I'm like, Cleveland, Stefanski. I think here I'm gonna go DJ Giddens. Okay, we'll go DJ Giddens. This is high for DJ Giddens, but it's like, man, I like the day 2 capital. I like Giddens. He does everything well. He's a really young senior, 2 years of production. So I'll go Giddens, right? All you got there is really Jerome Ford, a lot of uncertainty around what Chubb does there. So give me Giddens. That's going to be a lot of opportunity, round 3 draft capital. And, he catches well. He does well in all the efficiency metrics. So I'll take Giddens there. But, like, we have an embarrassment of riches on this late day, too.
Would you – I'm just asking. If I told you right now you're sitting at the 112 and you're going to take Caleb Johnson, or you could trade that 112 and get like the 203, the 205, and like a third, would you just trade back? Just knowing what if the running back landing spots are this juicy, would you be like, man, I'd rather a shot at two of those cats opposed to just one Caleb Johnson? Johnson was a round 3 pick too. I just took him because I like San Francisco. That's me having the conviction that I think that spot's better than every other spot. So let me get my guy. But the reality is, Giddens could start out the gate, or at least people might believe that Jerome Ford ain't that good, and their belief is it's going to be Giddens. I don't mind this, man. I love this range. These are some damn good spots. Where am I going, Ron? Where am I going at 2.6?
Well, first I'll say if I am at the 112 and I have the opportunity where I could get like 2 mid-seconds, or I don't know, like I think that's fine, right? Like, could you get like the 205?
That's why I gave you the 203. I gave you an earlier second so you can kind of prioritize. You get a 203 and the 206 for the 112.
Yeah. Give me like easy.
Okay.
Now the guy you're going, I'm gonna say you're going RJ Harvey here. And I would have gone RJ Harvey too if he was 22 years old. He's just so damn old, man.
I'm not going RJ Harvey.
Wow.
I'm not going day 3. I'm going with one of the first running backs off of the board in round 4. I think the landing spot is incredible. And more importantly, I think people would lose their mind because he might be the best pass catching running back in this class. Give me the dog of all dogs, Cam Square Body Scatterboo, to the Cincinnati Bengals in round 4. Listen, this was a 2-headed backfield with Zach Moss and Chase Brown to start the season. Chase Brown ends the year with a bum ankle. Chase Brown very inefficient, and the Cincinnati Bengals are just, you can't stack the box. You stack the box, you get absolutely shredded by Jamar T. Gesicki, Yoshi Voss. I honestly think that this would be a narrative, Ron, that we would hear in the summer that would start early. Like, man, Scatterboo's going to play a lot. Since Cincinnati's going to use this guy a lot early on. Joe Burrow loves Scatterboo. That Jamar Chase, man, we got a dog. As soon as Jamar Chase gives him the stamp of approval, people will lose their freaking mind. I'm not saying it's a good historical bet. I'm truly banking on the emotion that people will have if the Bengals take one running back this draft and his name is Cam Scatterboo. I don't know if he can even fall much further than this.
No, that's a pick I looked past, but I love it, man. I'm a huge Scatterbo guy where he's catching a ton of passes, and I am curious. Like, I mean, this is why I don't trust myself watching film, because I would have told you Tavon Austin was going to be amazing. I would have told you that Tim Tebow had it. I would have told you all of these things. I mean, with Scatterbo, one of the funnest players to watch. College football playoff run. Where their coach is amazing too. Like, he's hilarious. And, he's like trucking guys over in this Texas game, throwing up on the sideline. And people are saying he doesn't have enough juice. I saw, like, I think Dale Jeremiah was saying, like, he's not going to get drafted as early as you think. And I think that this scenario shows that. Like, this would be, early day 3. This would be kind of sad, but he does hit an amazing landing spot. What do you think about kind of like the limitations? I'll beat it around the bush. I think he'd be in a similar bucket as Cooper DeJean here for what he'd mean to some people. What do you got with Scatterbo when you watch him?
When you watch him, you get excited because he is a physical running back and he does the things that people like. He plays football in a violent way, and that's something you don't really get to see in the NFL today. But I've maintained the whole time he's a complimentary running back. There are people out there that I remember after that college football playoff run, people thought he should be a first-round pick in the NFL draft, and I'm like, no, like athletically, he's not that. He's not that. Devin Neal is not that athletically, right? But here's why for me, Ron, one of the things that I really try to bring to the community in a fantasy space is understanding the scheme in relation to the player's talent and skill set. And sometimes you can get a player that's less talented, that isn't as athletic, but is in an incredible environment that yields opportunity and success, that it doesn't really matter. And when you're on the field, the difference between the 4.6 and the 4.4, it's probably on the home run play, right? It's not getting the ball and bursting through the line of scrimmage. The home run play is not going to be able to pull away like Saquon, but if he lands in Cincinnati on a great offense that will not see very stacked and loaded fronts in a complementary role with Chase Brown, I think he could be very good, very efficient. Poor man's Gibbs and Montgomery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that comp a lot. Like, he's like missed tackles forced, like the receiving upside, it's all there. And like I could, dude, second round, you give me David Montgomery. I'm not complaining at that. And he's gonna be fun, man. Like he's gonna be like we talk about the market a lot here. Like I think he's gonna be someone people like to watch, like to
Yes.
have, want, whatever. And I've heard he gets nasty in pass protection. I guess sometimes he like whips on guys is what I've heard, but I kind of love that he is trying to kill everybody and
Yeah.
trust that some like coach will be like, all right, like he's not scared to take a block on.
Chase Brown is
do.
awful at it. I'll tell you that right now. He ain't
Yep.
good at it. So they better find somebody to keep Burrow. He better get better at it. He's got a square body. He can figure it out.
Yep. And people sweep that under the carpet, man. But they signed Samaje Perine.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens there. But in this next pick, this is tough again. And I think I'm between two here, but I think I'm gonna have to take your guy. I'm gonna have to take RJ Harvey. Like I said again, and I mention this every time I talk, like he's old, man. He is old. And I only care about that because he's not gonna, I don't know. He'd have to have like damn near like 1,600 yards from scrimmage if you want him to be like, and this is a good topic because it's like, okay, it's a second round rookie pick. I don't need him to be a second round startup pick. Would I like that to be in his range of outcomes? Sure. But at 24, there's really not much he could do where it's like, oh my God, now he's in the Bijan Gibbs conversation. But there's not a lot of these guys aren't like when I draft Giddens, I'm not expecting Giddens to get there at all. You're just hoping that he comes in, produces right away. And that's what Harvey can do. Like he can be a better version of what Tyrone Tracy was, right? Where he can give you like maybe top 15-ish kind of numbers, like almost right away. And he pops for like all the efficiency stuff that I kind of clown on Judkins for. But like, we talk about all this stuff with nuance. When we get to this part, I do want these running backs to pop in the efficiency stuff because at this point, like if they had the production and the pedigree, they would go earlier. So I'm fine clinching on to the efficiency, which is what RJ Harvey has. Like he crushes it. He has 20% of his runs went from 10 or more yards over his entire career, which is just absolutely nuts. So I'm curious. I know he's one of your favorites.
Yep.
I mean, he gets the Chiefs here, man. So, he can come in, be everything they need him to be. He can catch passes. He can do it all. Bring them some explosion in the running game where they leaned on the running game this past year. But it was so weird the way that they ran offense, man, where they were leaning on the running game, but there were no explosives and they weren't really getting explosives through the air. They were just converting first downs because Mahomes is an alien. So I'm curious, how you see the fit and what you think about Harvey.
Great fit. The player, the situation, he would get opportunity. And here's the thing, he would look a lot different than Pacheco. And just that visual aesthetic alone, people would be like, man, when I'm drafting RJ Harvey here in the middle of the second, you drafted late third round NFL draft. I'm not thinking about what he's going to be 5 years from now. I'm not thinking about what he's going to be 3 years from now. He's going to have opportunity. I always talk about this, Ron, and you've probably discussed this at some point, but a calendar year of football like that in Dynasty is like 5 seasons. Like there's like a full year in Dynasty is like 5 years of how people feel about a player, your trade windows, what you can do. RJ Harvey and KC, sign me up. That's a good pick, man. I like it.
Yep. Now, what do you got at 208? Like this is tough. Like there's a lot sticking out here. Like there's the wide receivers early day 2. There's running backs still hanging around. What do you got?
Yep. Yeah, there are a couple of receivers thought about it, but there's a really good running back spot with a brand new coach that just had a day 3 running back just pop off and jump to top 5 value. Dylan Sampson going to Jacksonville here. Sampson, RB6 off of the board, I believe, in Jordan Reed's mock to Jacksonville in the 3rd round. If he goes there, if Liam Cohen prioritizes this guy along with Egbuka, like this is just signaling like we need to score. We need to get our quarterback going. And I think Dylan Sampson would. I'm not saying right away he's the starter. I want to manage expectations. He doesn't just come in and jump over Etienne and Bigsby, but just like it was only a matter of time for Bucky Irving to get in, show what he has, I think Dylan Sampson could do something similar in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. The NFL, like he's one of these guys where he looks okay in my spreadsheets, but at the end of the day, 1,400 yards, 22 touchdowns is amazing. That's really all I'm looking for. And then also, all the film guys love him. But at this next spot, that was my guy. I'll be honest. I think give me Damian Martinez.
Okay.
Damian
I got to hear
Martinez.
this one because me and Jay Rich talked about this today. People were excited about this one, but they still got Tracy there, right?
Yeah, and I like Tracy, but I think if they make this pick on day 2, they're signaling that Tracy's going to kind of get bumped to kind of like pass catcher role where he'll still be fine, but give me Damian Martinez, who 3-year producer, seems like film guys definitely like him where he just gets what's blocked for you. And I'm definitely someone who likes a 3-down upside. Like I of course would prefer him to be able to catch passes, but I'm like here, I'm fine with it. He is somebody that I think, I don't know if like talent's the right word because we're talking about a 3rd round running back, and a lot of these guys end up being bad. But like just 3-year producer, he transfers, he still looks good. And I do kind of trust Dable to scheme a reputable offense at some point here. Now, do they do anything at quarterback in this draft?
Oh yeah,
Tyler Shock. Jeez, man. All right. I mean, I'm not crazy about it. But yeah, I'll take Martinez here. It's just a long list of running backs, and to me, he has the clearest path to starter level production early. He is also 21 years old, coming out early. I like the other running backs in this range, but I think if I had to pick one, I take Martinez.
I got no problem with it, man. There's actually a couple of just flyer names that I'm actually ready to press send on. There are a few out there that go against conventional wisdom, but at this point, 210, 211, 212, I've got a few that I'm just ready to rip.
What do you got?
I'm going to take a receiver right here at the 210 spot. I'm going to take Trey Harris, who goes 58th overall to the Houston Texans. I know Scott Connor talks a lot about the threshold and where wide receivers historically go and the ranges that you want to invest in them and just fade them. This is outside of what he talks about, top 50 drafted wide receiver. I love this landing spot. I know a lot of people are like 2 Nico Collinses. Yeah, probably. You've got 2 guys that can win downfield. They brought in Christian Kirk to play in the slot. This would be one where I would just trust that he would get on the field and produce. Like, I don't know. I don't know how much value he's actually going to bring. Like, sure, he'd probably nice young player in a trade package. I'm just going to trust that Houston Texans situation in this mock. They also took an offensive lineman early to give CJ Stroud some protection. They take Trey Harris here in the 2nd. I think he's going to be used. I'm fine with taking him here. I got a couple of backs that I'm going to take a little bit later. So I'll take Trey Harris.
I like that call. He's, man, like from a numbers perspective, he has like maybe the best yards per out run season of all time, but then also like late breakout-ish, and then also really high contested target rate. So he's like a jump ball guy, almost like in the same, threshold of like Quentin Johnson, Treylon Burks. So that scares me. But then like his yards per out run's amazing. He's going to get drafted decently high. It's like he's someone that I wrestle with. And I think that like the way this wide receiver class is, I think he probably has one of the higher upsides of a lot of these guys. So I'm fine. If you want to take him, what would this be? Wide receiver 6? Yeah. Like I think there's like 6 guys that you could just be like, yeah, he's my wide receiver 6. And I'd say, sure.
Right.
Like it's just that kind of class, sadly. I think this is probably where I will take. Like this is where it gets tough because it's like you're looking at these running backs. It's a strong running back class. I don't want to get caught up in the receivers, really.
Don't take my guy. Don't take my guy. Damn it, Ron.
I don't think I will. I'm gonna be the nerd here, and I'll take the last running back who goes day 2. We'll go Devin Neal.
Okay.
Day 2 matters a bunch. Houston, I don't know. I like in the past they'd be like they're gonna be good. They have Stroud. They have Nico. I guess they get Slowick out of there. So I'm hoping some bounce back. Mixon's cool, but at the same time he's getting older. Damian Pierce has just been brutal recently. Since that rookie year. So I'll take Devin Neal. I know some guys absolutely love him. I'm not crazy about him. He just like does everything fine. And I think that's fine for me at 211.
I'm not going to argue, man. You be the data guy. That day 2 matters. I get it. I'm going to be scheme fit guy.
Yep.
And at the 212 spot, the Washington Commanders have come out and said, we want explosiveness. They've got a top 5 rushing EPA offense, and I can only imagine if Jaden Daniels had somebody explosive back there alongside with him, what kind of pop that offense would do. And again, people like Washington. They like JD5. So in this mock, Bayshell Tootin, the speedster out of Virginia Tech, goes in the 4th round to the Washington Commanders, and I will select him at the 212 spot. He's got a superpower, and I saw how people reacted to Keaton Mitchell. I know how Dynasty gamers will react to a fast running back and a good offense making plays. Do I think Tootin is great? Not really. And more importantly, he ain't big, man. I'm not the biggest guy, Ron, and I'm standing next to him in Mobile like, man, there's no way he's 210. I'm just like, there's no way. But if he's drafted in round 4 to Washington, I'll trust the speed. I'll trust the spot. Give me Tootin here at the 212.
Yeah, I like that call. These like the day 3 ones with nice landing spots, wish that I paid a little more attention to. That's a good pick. Tootin's really fun, where he'll start to get like Devon Achane comps, but I like the Kean Mitchell much better. Kean Mitchell is much more. I was going to throw out like Jaleel McLaughlin as well, but that's not even on a good offense. That's just similar archetype of back.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is tough. I think this is where I'll bite the bullet and I'll actually go. And this is interesting because we had a conversation on ship chasing where at the time I preferred Jaden Higgins, but I think I'm going to go Jalen Noel here. I'm curious where you're at on Jalen Noel. I've come around on Jalen Noel because at first I was looking at his usage, and from what I'm looking at on the spreadsheets, all right, I didn't catch many Iowa State games. I'll just say hands up. All right, Iowa State was not on the radar.
Yeah. No one did.
Jalen Noel, slot usage, some handoffs as well, and then he has one of like the worst missed tackles for us, one of the worst yard after contact or yard after the catch ability. So it's like, what are we doing here? But now, like, you look at his reception perception, and I'm starting to hear, stuff more like Tyler Lockett. And I think at like 301, if you're going to tell me this is a slot receiver that gets open, produces, gets, top 60 draft capital. So it's not quite what Scott would prefer it to be. But, we're building something in Carolina. And if you can just give me a reliable slot who gets open, looks good in RP, can just get separation, I think I'm fine with that. He tested crazy as well.
I have Jalen Noel graded 6.78. He's wide receiver 4, just based on kind of my pre-draft process. And more importantly, man, for me with receivers like this, here's where I always push back on Scott. There's so many awesome resources. I think receiver is a very easy game to figure out because despite the skill set, you're really chasing how the team is going to deploy him and use him. And when you look at the Carolina Panthers receivers last year, I know people get excited about the usage, but we got a tool on our website. And if you just look at the dots in the gap between Adam Thielen and the rest of the receivers, there's a big missing part in the middle. That good offenses they have, Carolina's going to address receiver because they have to. I know they spent money on Leggett. Jalen Coker was a nice find, but they've got to find somebody else inside of this offense. I like Noel. I got him 4th overall just in pre-draft process ahead of Matthew Golden. So I'm good with it right here. I was actually going to take him at the 3-2 if you didn't.
I like to hear that. I'm coming around. Like, look, I'm learning. The spreadsheets like Jaden Higgins, he tests well, but like I talked about a bunch. Like Higgins is great, but he's gonna be, this is Miles Boykin, Stephen Hill, this is Denzel Mims, or Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton. We'll see how it goes. But what do you got at 302?
Okay, at 302, I'm gonna go back to the second round with a player that I've heard some buzz that could even be potentially a back-end first rounder, depending on the team and the fit. But give me Mason Taylor to Seattle right here. Give me Mason Taylor. I love this kid, dude. I've been a big fan of his game since he entered the league. I got a chance to meet him and talk to him in Mobile, talk to his dad, Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. He's huge, man. He's huge. He's fluid. He's big. I know they've got Noah Fant. Hell, I've told people to go pick up A.J. Barner off of waivers, but if they take Mason Taylor at 50, goodbye A.J. Barner and probably so long in due time for Noah Fant. He's a really good player, Ron. He's just a good player. He's got decent enough capital. Tight end is very tricky, but at this spot in the third, and I still like a bunch of backs on the board, I'll take Mason Taylor here at the 3-2.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Like he comes out as like my 3rd best tight end, and like everybody keeps telling me like, I don't know, they're like, he's not that good, but he's so young. His first year, he really popped with, Brian Thomas Jr. and Jack Besh in that offense. So give me him. Like, he looks solid. I think maybe he was like misused a little bit too as well at LSU, where they saw him as like a purely possession guy.
Yep.
We'll see how that works out. I'm not crazy about the guy or the fit, but I think in the early 3rd, this is where you do take Jaden Higgins. If you're going to give me a range of Denzel Mims to Nico Collins, I think this is where you do it. Contested catch guy, big, fast, draft capital, but I've seen a lot of Jaden Higgins in my past. What do you got at 304?
Yeah, 304. Man, dude.
Shooting from the hip. We're shooting from the hip, people. It's not
Yeah,
easy, you
I
know.
am. I'm not even trying to placate to the crowd, the audience. What I would do right now, if this were my pick, I'm at the 304 spot. I'm swinging, right? I'm swinging big. I'm swinging hard. I'm swinging fast. I'm going to the fifth round, dude. I'm going to the fifth round, and I want Brashard Smith, running back out of
Wow.
SMU. He lands in New England, RB15 off of the board. They didn't draft any other running back prior to that. They spent 2 picks on wide receivers in this mock from Jordan Reed. I think Brashard, this is my sleeper of all sleepers, is Brashard Smith. And I think in this offense with Drake May, with him being the only running back they prioritize, I'll take the swing. I'm swinging on Brashard Smith out of SMU.
I like that pick a lot. Like if someone, we were just talking about him, if someone's going to be your Tyrone Tracy, it would be Brashard Smith, converted wide receiver, Antonio Gibson.
Yep.
And I will give you a spreadsheet stat. You can take this one home with you, Ray. We got Kenyon Drake in terms of receiving fantasy points per snap. So just on a down-to-down basis, how many receiving fantasy points? Kenyon Drake, Alvin Kamara, Antonio Gibson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brashard Smith over his entire career. So, not bad.
That.
Draft capital is a little different.
That.
Yeah. he pops in terms of receiving upside, which of course makes sense. But at my spot here, I'm going to be, boring pick. We're going to take Alec Iomanner.
Mm-hmm.
I was in love with him early. And then I've kind of soured a bit. Like I think a past version of me, you look and you're like, man, there's a 21-year-old early declare still on the board in the third round. He goes in the second round of the NFL draft. It's like, I don't know. He's fine. He's not amazing. Again, we talked about it earlier with like Arizona and Tet. It's like he was the Stanford passing offense, but Stanford sucked,
Yes.
These teams,
yes,
it's not that much different than, like a Ricky White at UNLV or some of these guys, Torrey Horton at Colorado State. Like, I know it's Power 5, but right now with how scheduling is and everything, it's really not that different in terms of like quality of play. So I don't know. I'm not crazy about it, but if you want to tell yourself a story on like, he didn't produce year one because he's like Canadian and had to, I guess, figure that out, whatever. Iomanner, and that receiver room's a mess too, right? Dobbs, Reed, I guess Watson, torn ACL, but like even like Bo Melton can play. Shout out Rutgers. But where are we going 306?
Man, turn the TV off, Kendrick Lamar, man. Turn the damn TV off. I don't want to do it. But this dude was picked top 40 in the draft. I mean, listen, the moment he's named starter, I'm selling. Tyler Shuck, come on down. Come on down here in round 3. Tyler Shuck went 34th overall to the Giants.
Is my bad. 65th.
65th overall to the Giants. I'll take him, man.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
I don't want to do it. I'm truly just banking on, top of the third round. First pick in round 3. They skipped on quarterback. He would probably play. I don't know what I'd get for him, but just give me Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, and that's a smart play. Like, you said, like somebody out there thinks they're the smartest in the room. There's some QB evaluators that got him probably like QB2 or something.
Yeah,
like,
I don't like it, Ron.
That's the funniest part is like you say that, like there's some guy thinks they're the smartest guy in the room. And like when you watch these Hard Knocks or like Detroit Lions YouTube series, they'll have like kind of an open court of like, they'll have the quarterback coach, like 3 amateur scouts, and they'll all say they're bored. And there's going to be one of them that step up and say, yeah, Tyler Shuck's my QB2. And like every team's got a different board, which is why this is so fascinating. And it's like, man,
yep.
We're looking at like Brandon Whedon age. He's throwing throwing ducks to the defense. I'm seeing him just kind of like hot potato it to the defense. I don't know. I mean, I guess he's got tools. So you got to take him here. Now this is, we're getting into rough spots. We're looking at round 3 receivers, which like I don't really even like touching. I know some of these guys will hit, some of them will. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm actually really curious where you're at on him. I would really prefer him with day 2 capital. That's the snob in me. But we're going to go Harold Fannin at 307. Harold Fannin Jr. This is somebody that early on it sucks the way that the draft cycle works because I'm watching, Penn State versus Bowling Green. I'm seeing this guy, Harold Fannin. Like, oh my God, guys. Like this is, he puts up some, I think they might've played A&M early on too. And he's putting up, 100+ yards. And it's like, man, like he's the only guy they got on Bowling Green. And he's still getting, 100+ yards, going crazy. Then he doesn't test well. And I imagine Scott probably brings up, RAS with tight ends and tight ends. Like it gets real scary when we get to the Fannin area, but 307. And this is the tight end position's weird right now, where if you're this tweener and you can't block or whatever, it's not great. And like we've seen that with Kincaid, right? Where now like Khalil Kurz is playing slot receiver and Kincaid, like they're in an awkward spot with Kincaid. That's a whole other thing. But like Harold Fannin at 307, if his downside's Don Kincaid, sure, but his upside is you're now getting slot receiver production, kind of like peak Evan Ingram in your tight end spot in tight end premium. People forget that Evan Ingram season where he had I think 100+ catches for the Jags. He was, someone you could flex in tight end premium. So that's the hope with him. And where does he go? He goes to the Carolina Panthers. Panthers. I mean, they got JT Sanders. They got, Jalen Dole now. They got, Tommy Tremble. But you're just hoping, I don't know, maybe Canales has a plan for him. But I'm curious, like, how are you looking at Fannin? Like, I know that film guys seem to not really like him. But, it's tough.
I like him. I like him. I'll say what I've said since February. I watched every practice rep in Mobile, and not one time did an NFL coach out there ask him to put his hand in the ground on line. Every snap, he was offset or in the backfield as a fullback. He's not a very big guy. My problem with this landing spot is I don't think he would start over JT Sanders. And then if you're going to project him in the slot, okay, that's fine. But then he's got to get through Jalen Noel, who they spent the 2nd-round pick on, and then whatever the hell you're going to get out of Xavier Legette. I think Coker is honestly sort of the safe man because he just does stuff that the other guys don't. But people like Fannin, and I think he's a good player. So if you're going to make this pick, then you're doing what you just said. You're trusting Canales in his ability to get him involved in the offense. And they need help. So who's to say he can't go out there and be like, I'm better than these guys, put me on the field.
Yeah, and it's really just like, if anybody can kind of like break fantasy in a way where he's just like playing receiver pretty much, it's Fannin. It's like not the sexiest pick in the world, but I am a fan. I think as well, he probably should have won the Mackey Award over probably. Warren. Like it was one of the most absurd seasons, man. Absurd seasons. Probably. But what do you got at 308?
308, again, probably not great investment, but I'm going to trust what this team seemingly always does, and they've shown a good track record over the years, and I think this fit is incredible. Jack Besh out of TCU going to the Rams, pick 90. Again, far outside of that threshold. I'm also not drafting him to be my wide receiver 1, 2, or 3 if I make this pick. You're banking on a good situation, a good offense. Let Besh come in, learn from Puka and company, and if I'm going to take a TCU wide receiver, it's going to be Besh, not Savion.
Yeah, and I thought, you're saying, oh, this team's a good decision maker, so I thought you were going to take a jet real quick. That's interesting, though. Savion Williams is weird, man, where, I'm not going to touch him, but, like, people are, like, saying he's Cordell Patterson. It's like, I don't know. Like, if he is, I'm still not that interested.
That doesn't excite me.
And this is, again, tough, because now we're looking at round 3 receivers. Yep. I think this is what I'll do here, and I'm not crazy about it, but I am curious how you feel about him. We're going to go Trevor Etienne. He goes to the Chargers here. It's also crazy. I mean, it seems like the NFL loves Etienne, Jordan James, and Jaden Blue more than Dynasty. Mm-hmm. And Etienne, I mean, he doesn't really pop for me in anything, but like he's young, he has the pedigree. He was like a big time transfer. He was hurt this year. He's like undersized too, which is like a little tough, but it's like, man, the Chargers, I mean, they got like Najee and that's like all they got there. So if you're going to give me, I mean, you're just taking another swing on like Kamani Vidal. So I'll take Trevor Etienne. Is he one of like the day 3 guys you care about at all? Or
I think this spot makes me care. He's fine. Yeah. Like he's not great. And it's not even, here's the thing. Najee plays every game. He ain't missed a game in his career. He just doesn't get hurt. But I think what he would provide is a little pop behind Najee. And at this point for me, Ron, like if I hit the lottery ticket late round 3 in Dynasty rookie drafts, great. If I hit it, but ultimately I'm just trying to turn a 3 into a 2. Can I turn this 3rd rounder into a 2nd rounder? If I could turn a 4th rounder into a 3rd. So I'm looking for players who have a name, that are in a sexy spot, that if they get some opportunity, people will like them. People will want them, right? I think this is as good of a spot for ETN. You're at the back of the 3rd. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. What are you eyeing up for 310?
Nothing. Can I trade? Can I get out? Can I go away and get out of this draft? Give me Kyle Williams, day 3 receiver. Day 3 receiver going to the day 3, top of the third round pick. Yeah, 3rd round pick to the Patriots. They didn't take Ted early. In this mock, I mean, they double tapped O-line round 1 and round 2. Didn't have a good job last year with Jalen Polk. A lot of people like Kyle Williams. Maybe there's some opportunity for him to carve out a role with Drake May. So I'll go back to day 2. Give me Kyle Williams here at the back of the 3rd.
I like that pick. He's fun. He like produced early at UNLV. I know the film guys love him.
Yep.
I'll take. I got like 2 guys I'm eyeing up, but I think what I'm gonna do here, man, it's ugly. I mean, people say it's a deep class. They will say once you get to like the late 3rd, it's like, man, I don't. I mean, no 3rd round rookie pick is really all that sexy, but I'll take. I mean, it's like I don't want to take a Jet here, but I'm gonna take Terrence Ferguson. He goes
Good
round
pick,
3 to the Jets.
Good pick, dude.
I mean, they got.
Good
I mean,
pick.
outside. I mean, it's this kind of. I would be kind of bummed. We use a 4th on Kyle McCord.
Yeah, that was
and then
wild.
I guess like 5th round Xavier Restrepo's fine, but like I would love a receiver on day 2. But like Terrence Ferguson, he's gonna get in there. There's no more Tyler Conklin. The Jeremy Rucker and Zach Kuntzes of the world are doing nothing. So he tested well. He's someone that stood out at Mobile. So give me Ferguson. What do you got to wrap us up here?
Wrapping us up. Oh man. I'm just going to take an old school fan favorite. He's buried on the depth chart, but the guys in front of him can't stay healthy either. Give me Ollie Gordon, who goes to Seattle in round 5. Listen, this is a player who kind of fell off. Oklahoma State was awful this year. Awful. Ollie Gordon's numbers reflected that, but a year before that, he came into this college football season as the consensus RB1 across all boards. If he gets some opportunity in Seattle, I think people will trade for him. I can turn that 3 into a 2. If Charbonnet gets hurt or Kenneth Walker goes down, I guarantee I can turn the name Ollie Gordon II into some usable capital for the future. Jaden Blue went higher. He's faster. He's sexier. But just give me OG3. Give me OG2 right here. Give me an old favorite. Into the 3rd, I'm fine taking Ollie.
I like that call. And we talked earlier about receiving fantasy points per snap. Guys with like over 0.1 and then running that 4.6 range, 225 plus pounds. We're looking at Ollie Gordon, Najee, Ramondre Stevenson. That's kind of, what you're hoping for. He's not going to be super efficient, but he's going to catch passes. He had 39. I think he had 39 catches in year 2. Yes. People don't talk about that enough.
And he didn't do anything to start year 2. Like for the first 3-4 games, he didn't do shit. He didn't do anything out there. And then boom. And that was with that offense being top 3 in the country in passing. He was that good on the ground, and they were a top 3 offense in throwing the ball in 2023. Insane the fall off of Oklahoma State this year.
Yep, that's another one. We were talking about Missouri, and you're right. Like he didn't even. I don't think he even totaled 100 rushing yards to his first 3 games.
Told you.
And then I mean, man, he ends up with 1,700. He's fun. Now I will say I'll get you out on this one. Who's outside of landing spots? Give me one sleeper in the 4th round that you want every time you're in a rookie draft.
Sleeper in the 4th round that I want every rookie draft. You threw me on the spot here, Ron. I am going to say a running back that I'm still a big fan of. And in this mock, he went in the 7th round. But Woody Marks out of USC, his ability to be dynamic in the receiving game. At that point, I don't even want him to be a between the tackles grinder. That's not his game. But you're talking about a running back who's got over 200 career receptions in college. And I've heard NFL people say, yeah, that's a guy that we can deploy as a pass catching weapon. I always say, Ron, there's a difference between running backs that can catch passes and running backs that can be deployed as pass catching weapons. They're different, right? Woody Marks is a running back who can be deployed as a pass catching weapon. I think he's going to be a late day 3 pick, but in round 4, my rookie drafts, I'm going to have a lot of Woody Marks.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he had 83 catches as a sophomore at Mississippi State. Like that's nice. And that's a name I haven't heard yet. Like I've heard of Woody Marks. He's been sliding through the process, but it's nice to hear you give him a stamp of approval. I mean, I imagine he'll be like, 4th round rookie guy, a taxi squad guy.
Yep.
But that's going to wrap us up. I do want to, of course, say thank you for coming on. Let the people know where they can find you, Ray, what you have going on for the NFL draft.
First and foremost, man, I appreciate you sharing your platform and your airways with me. This was fun, and I hope the people like it because I hope we get to do it again, man. It was fun just chopping it up with you. Some pre-show banter that people may like as well at some point in time. But you can get at me on X at RayGQ. You can find me on YouTube, Ray Garvin, and then make sure you check out DDFFB. That's the fantasy football side of what we do. That's DD Fantasy Football on YouTube. So appreciate you having me on, Ron, and let's have a good draft process, baby.
Of course. Everyone, make sure you check out Ray there. I'll have all this stuff linked down below. I'll have the Jordan Reed mock link down below. And then, of course, if you're new here, subscribe, leave a like, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like I'm